I like fishing downstream. Swinging flies for steelhead is a welcome seasonal transition following months of facing and casting upstream for trout. It's an entirely different tempo, two-stepping your way down a run. The casting and presentation is different, not to mention that some days, even the fly rod is different. Two hands holding cork now. Cool. I recently took a day just for myself, the river, and two-handed casting. It seems like it's been years since I've had a full day just for myself in the river. No photos or videos to worry about, nobody else along to divvy up runs with, and no drift boat in the river to dictate the downstream order of things throughout the day. With no pressure to land fish, it was just a day to cast, swing, strip, step, and repeat. Very cool. There are many ingredients that make a day of fishing great. The conditions can be first and foremost. Not only the weather in general, but also specifics, like what the wind is doing and from what direction, how overcast the sky is, and of course the amount of sun on the water, and the angle that it falls into the river. And then there's the temperature, flow, and the color of the water as well. The presence of catchable numbers of fish certainly helps too. And let's not forget fishing pressure from weekend anglers. And rarely do these elements all align more than one at a time. So there's always plenty to wish for. For me, spey casting seems to follow rhythms throughout the day, often in sets that sputter and struggle, but then a groove is eventually found, and casts feel so effortless and crisp as the fly line forms tight loops that extend over the river. After a dozen or so strips of running line are back in hand, anchor points are placed, and the D-loop is formed. A push-pull motion ensues, and fly line fires back out the guides. If it's all done right, there comes the rewarding sound and feeling of that shooting line halting tight to the reel and slapping the rod blank with a satisfying smack. The loop unfolds over the river as the fly turns over and plops into the water. Another cast, another swing, another chance to encounter a very special fish that as a juvenile swam down this very same run over these very same rocks. It flowed downhill with the river thousands of feet and hundreds of miles, eventually to the ocean, and then to far corners of the globe. And now it's back, right here, holding somewhere out there in this very water that your fly is swinging through. Perhaps your fly will draw its attention and trigger a strike. More likely not. Swinging steelhead flies for more than 2 decades now, I've come to find enough reward in those challenges that they alone can make certain days perfect. But then, some days are extra special. It starts when the fly drips into the water on the far side of a run that is just brimming with possibility. The presentation is set up with a mend, and as the line bows from the push of the river, the colorful materials of the fly comb through the river's current like a kid's finger out the car window on a summer day. Cast after cast, the fly is presented. It's a repeating scenario of numbers and odds for the fly to find itself dangling in front of an irritable steelhead. In retrospect, I think an angler can almost convince him or herself that they felt that moment coming. Even though you've never actually been able to predict it in real time, it always seems like you could have. Memory paints those moments with such color. Seems like you can hear that cold water swirling around your legs and feel the pulse of the river tugging on the rod in your hand, just like you're standing there right now. The line in your finger pulls with a steady pressure as your rod tip follows the fly line's arcing swing. Each cast you anticipate that startling weight of a fish climbing onto your fly, but your offering returns to you time after time, all alone and unscathed. You repeat the motions and find cautious footing for a few more steps down the run. Your thoughts begin to wander around the canyon walls above. It's a gentle tug of war between you and the current as your mind slips over the horizon and you lean against the swing.